Thank you. Commissioner? Good. Thank you very much.
Yes, he's coming.
Mark. Hey, Mark. Mark.
Good evening, everyone. Kent County Administrative Complex, 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware. Tuesday, May 18th, 2021. Levy Court Chambers, room 203. Mr. Pettenmaj, please.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Although it doesn't appear we have any callers on the line, I'll just, for the record, state that we are meeting in person in 555 Bay Road, Levy Court Chambers. This meeting is being offered also via WebEx for folks who may wish to join remotely into the meeting. We, at points along the meeting, if there are guests that join us, we will invite them to provide public comment if they wish to do so, and we'll provide instruction at that time. Since there's no one on right now, I think I'll forgo the instructions and just say that this is a committee meeting of Levy Court, and the rules of procedure that apply to committee meetings that were adopted by Levy Court are in effect, along with the Mason's Rules of Order. And Mr. Vice President, I'll turn the floor back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I forgot to say that this was scheduled at 7 p.m. sharp, as we always do, and that we have 6 commissioners. President Pepper is ill, and we wish him the best recovery. And we'll move on and go with Planning Services. Mr. Buxton.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President Angel. I think Ms. Kiefer's joining us momentarily to give us a brief description.
Good evening, Commissioners. What you have in front of you tonight is a request from the town of Little Creek for the county to take on property maintenance enforcement within the town. This is identical to the request Levy Court granted for the town of Viola. And I actually expect a request in the next few weeks from the town of Woodside. There's one specific property they especially would like our help with. I don't believe the burden would be too great on our staff, so staff would recommend approving this. I'm happy to answer any questions.
It's always nice to be able to help out some of our local townships.
Thank you, Mr. Buxton. Yes, they could use some help on a couple of properties. I believe one's a commercial property.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so. And then there's a housing issue too, right on Main Street. So I think they could use the help.
We're happy to do it.
Thank you.
Any further ado, Commissioner Howe, how was that?
I owe you a beer.
So show of hands in support. All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kiefer. Any public comments regarding the previous topic?
We don't have anyone on the WebEx, so we won't make the call there, but if anyone in the public that's gathered here, it would be now the time to address Levy Court. Seeing none?
Seeing, Mr. Vice President, back to you.
Thank you. Let the record show there was 6 in favor and 1 absent. Next one is Ms. Maston, Finance Chair.
The first item is ordinance LC 21-11, an ordinance to amend ordinance 20-04, the FY 21 annual operating budget of Kent County, Delaware, for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020, to appropriate funds for a new emergency medical services facility and real property reassessment project contract. I don't believe Mrs. Durham is here, so with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Pettit-Demange.
Thank you, Commissioner Maston. Yes, you may recall this was introduced last week as an ordinance, and the staff wishes to have this considered before the close of the FY 21 budget. As you know, we're in the middle of a construction project right now, renovating a building to serve as a future paramedic substation. And we've, along the way, that project has expanded a little bit with the acquisition of 2 additional properties from when we started. And then there were also some unexpected costs related to sprinklering the building that have added significant costs. We began with a budget of $750,000. That was to acquire property and to renovate the building. When we did the construction RFP, the bids came in a little higher than that, and because of that, and along the way, we bought 2 additional properties. We need to increase the budget, and so the request is for that to add $960,000 to the budget from appropriated fund balance, and then the second portion of this ordinance is the amendment to incorporate $5 million from the capital projects budget reserve, and this is for the purpose of funding the contract we're about to sign for the reassessment services. As you all know, we're in an agreement to initiate a reassessment of properties in the county, and the contract we expect to have executed in June, and we want to have the funds put aside in the budget, the capital budget, for that purpose. And so that's the nature of this amendment, and it is an official amendment to the original budget ordinance that adopted the FY 21 budget, and that's why it's being processed this way. It's if you're all okay with it. As I said, it was introduced last week. It's slated for public hearing next week. Happy to try to answer any questions.
Any commissioners have questions?
Mr. Pettit, we don't need a vote on that
Vice
since it's on the
President?
agenda, correct?
I'm sorry?
We don't need a vote for that for the next week's agenda.
No, this was really more in case there was any, we didn't really have a discussion yet on it. Normally, we would come to committee first and then introduce and then hearing, but because of the compression in time, we introduced it last week. So it's already slated for public hearing coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one, Ms.
Okay,
Maston.
item number 2, at this point, I'll turn this over to Commissioner Sweeney, since he's asked to present this.
Thank you, Commissioner Masson. I appreciate it. So tonight we have the 3 members of the Town of Viola Board of Commissioners with us. We have Carl Kiesling, Betsy Torbert, and to speak for the group is Steve Jingosian. I handed out these yellow booklets that were gifts from the Town of Viola, not to sway our vote, but just to interest you in Canterbury, Viola area. A lot of history in here. I was sitting here looking through it, very nice. But they have a request tonight for an upcoming street fair from our community development, our community special grant funds. Steve, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Before I talk about the street fair, last time I had the pleasure of visiting with you, I promised to come back and update you on the progress we're making in the great town of Viola. And in just a short period of time, I'm pleased to say that we have septic and well contracts both in place. And literally within the next week or so, they should be completed. So we appreciate your assistance with that. As far as the community event goes, a couple of years ago, we started, we called it a picnic. We didn't really know what to call it. We were trying to do something, just come out and meet your neighbors. We didn't know if it was going to work. We didn't know if anyone was going to come. And we built it and they came. Over the years, and it's only been 4 or 5-ish, it's become hugely successful. We're super, super proud of it. People that wave to each other all the time never really have 5 seconds to actually just stop and say hello and see how things are going. Unfortunately, like everybody else, last year we had to cancel it because of COVID, so we're really just bursting at the seams this year to get back into our groove. So the request that we submitted was for $644, which we've actually significantly reduced, almost by a third, down to $450. We found some better options and better pricing for what we were doing with postcards and signs, the banners, that kind of stuff. But as Mr. Sweeney alluded to, the thing that we're most excited about is this. By most accounts, this is more rare than a purple unicorn. There are very, very few of these around. Not only did we get the book, but we got special permission to reprint it. Hence why we wanted to give all of you a copy. It was predominantly about Viola and the surrounding communities. Lots of interesting bits of information. It was written in the early 70s-ish. So it was very hard to acquire and to get the permission to do that. But what we really wanted to do, or why we're so excited about it, is because it enables us to combine history and local heritage with current day and some of our younger people that have moved into town. So our objective was to give this out to one of each of the households who come to the picnic or in our town. So that was what a bulk of the money was going to be used for, in addition to the postcards for the picnic and signs for the street fair, that kind of thing. So certainly welcome your questions if I can answer any of those.
Any questions for town? We appreciate you guys making every effort to reduce it. So right off the bat, it's not 644, it's actually 450.
Yes, correct.
So, Mr. Pettimonge?
I have a question. Thanks for the book. First
Yes.
of all, thank you very much. I noticed that I just quickly looked through here, and there's a building called the Bethesda Meeting House. Is that the building that the town has recently purchased to incorporate into town hall?
No, they that was from Canterbury.
Okay.
I think there's an interesting piece about how there wasn't a building there one day and then there was a building there. No, we purchased the old Methodist church.
Okay, so that's this building here. It's the Viola Methodist Church? Kind of looks
Right.
similar, yeah.
Yes, correct.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Pettimonge, I thought you were looking for your name on there since you seem to know every Pettimonge in the state and where they own land, so.
Yeah, we didn't come that far south, but I'm sorry.
Any other questions for Mr. Jingosian?
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. And thanks, Carl, Betsy, for showing up. Move this forward to the consent agenda for next week. Seeing 6 hands. Thank you. Back to you, Ms. Masson. Thank you.
Back to you, Vice President Angel.
Any public comments? Ms.
We have
Mass?
no one on WebEx. Anyone in the audience wish to say anything additional? Doesn't appear to be.
Okay, seeing no public comments, the motion has to be changed from 644 to 450 in the documentation for staff. So that's the only comment I have.
Yes, that just needs to be in the consent agenda for $450, not $644.
Yeah, we'll revise the motion to that effect.
Seeing no more, we're adjourned at 7:12.
Dang.
Ms. Torbert. Ms. Torbert.